Okay, so this little guide is on assembling your robot. There's some parts that I may edit out, so if you see a little jumping around, that's what's going on. You can see here we have the robot base with a couple of those assembly screws in the top, and you'll start to see my hands here in just a second. And we have the base laid flat, and I'm getting, my fat fingers are getting the oops. Okay, so this is the assembly of the robot. You see I have the base here, and I'll show you how the different parts attach to it. And so we have that. I have my screws here. I'll press down, or don't press, but just drop them down into the holes. And I'll be honest with you, I am very, very fat-fingered when it comes to these things. So you'll see me struggle just a little bit. And I flipped it over, and I have the screws there, and I'm going to put the caster on here, and I'm going to take my little nuts, oopsies, and I'm going to screw the nuts down to the little bolts, and little is the optimal word here, although not nearly as tiny as the ones for the Raspberry Pi. I've got that nut on, and we'll start the other nut. And all of these parts can just be finger tight. The reason I'm struggling here is because the nut itself comes right up against the caster, so I'm just getting it started. And then I'll flip it back over, hold it in place, try to screw it with my fingers, but probably will get my trusty dusty screwdriver, just a small one, and I will go ahead and again just screw it so it's finger tight. It does not have to be on there. If you can do this with your fingers, all the better. I just again happen to have very fat fingers, so it's helpful to have this tool to screw this on. Okay, that's done. The next thing are going to be attaching the wheels. There'll be 2 wheels in the back. There's slots for 4 wheels, but you don't need to worry about that. So these are the motors. I should say motors rather than wheels, because we're going to attach the motors and then we'll press the wheels onto the motors. So I'm going to hold that there. And I'm going to take my little screw and put it in. You can go either direction, but I have found over time it's easier to go with the head of the screw in towards the middle of the plate. And I'll do the other for the other side. We're putting that on. Got that ready to go. Now I'll do the other side, same process. And I'll go ahead and fast forward through that for just a second. Not to bore you with any details. And we're putting the second screw in here. Go ahead and fast forward another second here. And here's my screw again. And there's the nut. Okay. So now I have that on. Now starts the interesting part, which is the, well, we got to do the wheels first. I was going to say wiring up the Pi board, but notice on these wheels that they correspond to the flat sides of the motor. So you want to match those up, and they are tight. So one of the things that I found that's helpful is once you get them lined up, kind of get them started, and then you can turn the bed on its side and just kind of give it a bit of a press. Again, don't go too hard. There's not much weight being supported here. Just get them on enough so that they'll hold the robot up. So there, I'm working on that. To see my lovely fingers, and I'm kind of pressing down on that a little bit. And now I'm going to do the other side. Again, lining that, trying to line that up, seeing if it'll seat, and pressing it on. And then again, putting it on the table and just pressing down with my hand to just get them to seat. They're not going to go all the way in. And actually, that's a good thing so that the wheels won't bind up. Now, let's see what comes next. Should be some wiring. So I'm ready to go here. And now I have my GPIO pin diagram here, along with those controller boards and the star of the show, the Raspberry Pi. So I'm going to take and notice that I've got this lined up, even if I'm sorry that the paper's upside down, but do notice that the Pi lines up with the diagram, and that's how the pinouts go. And so I'm going to start attaching. So I'm going to start with the power pin in the corner, I believe. And I'm going to go down the line. Whoop, power pin, I decided on red just to help me know which one's which. The other power pin I'll make orange. Those will go to the two different controller boards. And then the next bit I'll put on will be for that ground for one of the controller boards. There's another ground piece a little later down. Notice I'm making a notation there because I messed up my little diagram. So there's the ground. That is going to be the third pin. Well, in this case, 2, 4, 6, pin number 6, because those are on the even side of the GPIO pin set. Then I'm going to start going down the other side. Not sure why I just unplugged that. Oh, there we go. Get my ground in the right side. Decide to go with green, colors. And now I'm going to start going down the other side. Just randomly pick red for this one. Again, the voltages are so low. Don't worry about it. It might be a good idea to have the Pi unpowered while you're doing all this, though. So I'm just going down the line, looking at my pinout structure there. And I've got my other ground that I'm plugging in there. And I'm just going to keep going down the line. So I'm going to fast forward here for a second. Okay, So here's my controller board. And again, I'm using those power and GPIO pins. I'm getting those kind of separated out here a little bit. So there's the power pin. It's going to go in to the power side of the GPIO. I'm pointing that out here. So you can plug that in. Just like that. And I'm going to grab the ground wire and I'm going to plug it in right next to the power wire. Again, only 5 volts, but that's what you need to drive the motor. And then the next thing, pointing out the which one I'm doing. So this one is GPIO number 2. I'm going to plug it in to number 1 on the controller board. And now I'm going to plug in the next wire to GPIO pin, or GPIO pin, the next GPIO pin into pin number 2 on the motor controller. And then I have my next wire, and I'm going to just keep going down the row there. I'm going to fast forward just a little bit here. And that is board number 1. So I've gotten that wired up. Bit of a spaghetti mess, but nothing that I haven't been able to handle, so I think we'll be okay. So the next thing is the board on the other side, and we're going to go to the appropriate GPIO pin to pin number 1 on the board, and as well as the power and the grounding supply. I did the power first, grab my ground wire, go to that one, and then start in with what's going to go to pin number 1 on the board. Again, this is labeled on the diagram. And then number 2. Come on, Marty, find the right wire, please. So I'm going to fast forward just a little bit. I'll work with my different wires. So here I have both boards completely wired up. Take my little piece of paper away. Put the Pi down on the platform. The best way for it to work has been to face the Ethernet stuff and USB ports towards the back or towards the wheels. And I'm just trying to route this wire underneath the little post to keep those from flopping all over the place. And now I'm going to take and set the Pi down, and I'm going to put screw number 1 in, and just notice they're just sitting there. They're just to keep the board from moving around. And again, I have fat fingers, so I'm going to try that again. And this time I think I'm going to put all the screws into the Pi first. And do my final one here. And now set it down on the board. Get the pins lined up with the little holes in the posts, and that's done. And then the next thing I'm going to do is plug the controller motor or the stepper motor into the controller board. And if you'll notice, there's some little slots, and they align with the slots in the controller board. Oops, and one of my screws fell out. Anyway, and then I'm going to do this next one and flip it over. And I have that aligned. Woo-hoo. Screws flying all over the place. Struggle with that for just a second. I'm going to fast forward just a little bit. And now I've plugged in my power. And notice the lights coming on the little controller boards. And I'm letting that one controller board just kind of flop, and that's perfectly okay. Not looking for anything to look nice. Now, once the green light on the board has kind of slowed down and flashing just a little bit, I'm going over to my computer and I'm launching a VNC session to go into that board, and that's covered in another tutorial. And opening Thonny up and cutting or copying and pasting the content from the file that I'm supplying to the class with all the Python code in it. And here in just a second, I'm going to click run, and the robot should start to work for you. And success! It's limping along. There we go. And I'll keep moving it back. It's a little bit like my little dog Tigany. I keep having to move her around. And there it goes. Now, obviously with the code, there's a lot of other things that you can do. I may post that online, but for the purposes of this exercise, all I want to do is I just want to see it move. And there you go. So, as always, I hope you got something out of this, and I hope it's been helpful, and happy computing.